So slight transition into local link building. This is something that we just did our annual link building boot camp. We just wrapped it up last month. Um, and we've just been under such a big transition over the last like 6 to 18 months, if you will, when it comes to content development and link building for our SEO clients. And the reason being is that we've just seen a lot of diminishing returns from a lot of it, both from a like injury, like lawyers, they pay to get leads. That's all they care. They don't care about traffic. They don't care about rankings. They don't care about the SEMrush graph going up and to the right. They're like, are you making my phone ring? That's producing me money. If you are, I'll pay to the cows come home. If not, you got to go, right? So we've just really looked, and also just seeing the rising cost of doing business and the increased scrutiny on, so you want to get $5, $10, $15,000 a month out of somebody, you gotta produce, right? And just asking ourselves, is this money that they're paying us, is it best used getting pushed into content or getting pushed into links? Should we be pushing it into paid search? Should we be pushing it into some sort of, I don't know, whatever that looks like, right? So we've just always tracked and tested links very heavily, and we've always kind of got mixed results from our own testing, right? What we see is that, like, yes, they work, right, to a certain extent, but like, what does work mean anymore, right? It, it works really well on ranking blog posts that drive a lot of traffic, but in the legal space, is it really producing any phone calls? No, not really, right? So we've been looking a lot more at trying to figure out digital PR internally. We outsource a lot of it to some really good contractors and vendors. I've seen PR work with a lot of our clients like gangbusters. Like, if you do PR the right way, like, there's no shadow of a doubt question that, like, it works, especially over a 6 to 18 month period. It really works. But local specific, right? If we're talking about moving the needle in the maps pack, do links matter? Like, should we be focused on local links from, like, Miami New Times, local bloggers? Like, talk to me about links when it comes to moving the local rankings.
Yeah, so it doesn't move it as much as organic. So another thing I recently published on our YouTube channel was this exact thing because we have measured multiple times how much links impact organic, and they impact organic quite substantially. You can move a page multiple positions with a single link. Like, it's actually something we can do over and over and over again. Local pack rankings are a lot harder to move. We saw the best example I can think of. We had a client that acquired a business, and that business ranked above them on Google. And they were like position 4, and the business they acquired was position 2. So we took that website and we redirected it. So they got all those links. That business had a ton of links. We redirected it to their particular page that was ranking. Saw a huge organic boost. Like, they took their place, and then we did some on-site optimization, and they took the first position. It was amazing. Local pack rankings didn't move at all, like, not even a little bit. And I was so annoyed. I was like, this should be the same, but yeah, we see that link building, it does impact local pack rankings, but a small amount. And I think it's just because there's other signals that come into play with local pack rankings that don't exist in organic that just kind of drown it out.
So probably a good follow-up here, right? From Michael. He asked, what are the most impactful actions to take for local SEO if it's not citations, if it's not schema, if it's not link building? Talking about, like, your ranking process and focus. Do you have like a checklist? Is it
Oh yeah, we've got hundreds of checklists, but our biggest, if I had to put them in buckets, our biggest focus is usually content. We still see content work so well, all kinds of different industries. One of the easiest ways to move the needle, both organically and in the local pack, because it impacts both. And simple old on-site optimization, it's not the same tactics that impact local pack rankings as organic. So although the two algorithms they do overlap a lot, they're also very different. So I've been very meticulous of tracking just finer details and like things, and oh, what did this move? Did it move organic rankings? Did it move local pack rankings? And they're not as similar as everybody thinks. So there's quite different signals, but content would be the big bucket I would say that we put a ton of focus on.
so when you say content, right? If we're talking about an attorney or a landscaper or a dentist, do you mean like location-based service pages, practice area pages, or do you mean like supporting content, like resources, blog,
Both.
etc.? Both. And when you talk about like blog content, is that like localized content? Is it like, and also in terms of volume and quantity, how much do you try and
We
produce?
We try for localized. We have a lot of clients that have a lot of really high traffic pieces that rank like nationwide, which is not intentional, but definitely for lawyers, it's actually our content list for lawyers is like miles long. So some industries is easier than others, I think, for coming up with content. Um, there's definitely been a few industries where it's challenged. Like insurance is one that's challenging. It's just a boring topic, so it's not as easy to come up with topic ideas.
In terms of volume and quantity, is it based on the existing content that they have, or are you like, we need to try and produce 100 pieces over the next 6 months to really put you into the competition?
We don't look at numbers at all. Like I could spend a lot of time on an existing page. If that page has potential and it's driving conversions, then we're going to spend time on it. So we don't look at numbers. Same way I look at links. I don't look at like you can get more ranking benefit from a single link than you could from 100 others. So it's not a numbers thing. It works the same way with content. It's about having like a strategic approach where you're actually looking at the content that's actually leading to the leads.
Yeah. So another kind of question for you on when it comes to content. So we've really tried to focus our content development only for markets that they have a verified Google business profile, right? Because what I see when we audit a lot of our competitors in the legal SEO space is that they'll just blow out like what are doorway pages essentially, right? Like they're like, hey, you operate in Florida, therefore, like we can create content for every single county, every single state, every single city, every single state. Like, let's just blow it out. And we'll audit and we're like, yo, you have 2,000 pages of practice area pages. They're like, it's not bad. They're very similar, but it's like, you know, it's just a lot, right? It's a lot. It's tough for the navigation. It's tough for the user. Like, I don't love it, right? So we try to focus on saying, okay, you have an office in Miami, you have an office in Coral Gables, so we're going to develop the practice area pages that you have, targeting each one of those, set up your location pages, proper structures, etc. And then we're going to develop content on the blog to try and support that locally, but mostly at the state level too, right? Like anything Florida law, injury, like we'll talk about that and we'll build it. What's your thought on like on that strategy of just blowing out like a ton of, because it works. Like when you audit an Ahrefs, you're like, oh wow, like this website's getting a ton of traffic. But then you look at it and you're like, the client's complaining. They're like, yeah, we're not getting any leads though. They're like, they keep on telling, our agency keeps on telling us that we're getting more traffic and that it's working, but we don't really see our phone ringing. Like,
Hmm.
what's your thought on that kind of local content strategy?
Yeah, so we always prioritize content based on conversions, and that's our primary metric. So usually that's safe. There's a couple times where it shows leads, and then we, confer with the client. They're like, "Oh, those are garbage leads." But as long as you're filtering based on that, I think one of the benefits to being in local SEO is you can have the same concept, and you could use that same concept
Yeah.
concept for tons of clients, and you're not competing any of them against each other. But service area pages is what we call, I guess I forget what term you use, slightly different. They work sometimes. So
Yeah.
they work for some clients really well, not for others. Certain industries, they are amazing. But I think it comes down to what you're competing against and how good your stuff is compared to your competitors, which is it's not the same answer in every market or industry.
Yeah. Let's transition over to reviews. I don't think there's any debate that reviews are one of the most, if not the most important, local ranking factor. Not just quantity, but velocity, quality. I asked Darren this question too, and I'm curious. When you do you do like review coaching consulting with clients?
To an extent, yes.
Okay. And if you were to do that, right, would you coach them to say, hey, well, I'll just kind of tell you what we do, right? So we have basically an SOP that we will walk through our clients with when they're doing like the 2 week onboarding process that we have with them. We'll say, who does your intake? Who's your secretary? Like we have 3 different strategies for them to get reviews. One is like past clients that will go through their database and call them up. Other one is like as soon as they get like their check, you call them up, whatever, and we give them a script. Is the review that they leave, like the context of it important, right? Is it better if they from like is like kind of like a link building factor, right? Where like a Forbes link hypothetically is worth 20 bad ones. Is like a one word review that's like excellent. Is that like you're like, that doesn't really work for me. Like you should have like said, hey, I worked with Joy. She was great. She really helped our local rent, like using keywords in the reviews. Like, does that make a difference, the context of the review?
We've done tests on reviews, very limited though. I will say because I'm not, creating fake reviews, I was very limited on how many we could test on. So in my testing, no, it didn't matter like what you put in the text of the review, it didn't influence ranking. What I will say is when it comes to the order of the reviews that show up, when you click on the reviews and it lists them in a certain order, and it's not the
Yeah.
most recent at the top, it's like it says most relevant. There's definitely method to that. That's something I've analyzed in detail, and there are certain factors that are heavily weighted in that section, more so than others. But it's not the same thing as what we're discussing, which is does it impact ranking? That being said, there are some black hats I know who swear that it does, and I actually believe them because they've done it en masse in ways I have not. So they've bought reviews, by the hundreds, thousands, and seen it. My only caveat is like whenever they're doing that, they're also increasing the volume. So is it the text or is it the volume that matters? I think it's just the volume, and people are saying it's the text. But again, I don't know because I'm not willing to test fake reviews at that scale.
Yeah, same. That's one that we don't cross, especially in the legal
Yeah.
space. It's just fake reviews are just not a good look. It's actually not as hard to get reviews if you have a good process for clients. I'm actually not a fan of like review automation software because you have to be just doing it has like a 10% success rate if that. It's good for like I would like to say direct consumer like Amazon style stuff where it's like, yeah, we had 1 million purchases last month. If we send out automated emails and text messages, we'll get 100 of them. But in the smaller service space where you're servicing 10, 20, 30 clients a month, you got to call them. So that's what we try and beat into their heads, like just call them, be nice. They'll leave your if you did a good job, they're happy to leave your review. It's not a problem. So we'll walk them through that. But something that we do see, this is actually from my partner Caesar, he just slacked me. He said, um, we flagged over 60 blatantly fake reviews. Reviewer only has like one review history, no picture, like kind of a clearly fake account, right? Or double dipping, meaning the same exact review left for multiple locations. And Google seems to let them stick. He says it tells me that Google doesn't care about the integrity of reviews for the same reason that they never remove bad ones. So is reviews still the Wild West? Not that we would suggest getting fake reviews, but to me, it seems that there's no repercussions from it. In other words,
Sorry.
no, go ahead.
There definitely are repercussions. This is something, again, I haven't published yet. It's coming out on our YouTube channel, I think, in 2 months. So I will be kind of talking about it more in detail, but there are actual penalties for having fake reviews if you get caught. And it's a big if you get caught. To answer your specific question, the double dipping, that's definitely against Google's guidelines. You should be able to get those removed. Like if they leave the same review on multiple locations. We've been successful getting those removed. But the penalty that I'm talking about, which is not something I've seen widely yet, I kind of hope Google starts doing it more. So if they catch you buying reviews, they can put a block on your profile. Oh, no. And it'll make it so that your business cannot get new reviews. I've seen this successfully done to several businesses, not large amounts. So this is where I'm like, oh, if they did this more often, it is insanely detrimental to the business because the blocks stay on for a long time. Like all the ones that I've been watching have been months and months. They can't get new reviews. And it's I think the only effective solution I've seen so far that Google's come out with that I think if they started doing it more would actually work. Because if you don't get the volume and you're not getting the velocity, you are at a major disadvantage, especially in the legal space.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got a few more questions we'll kind of blaze through. We only have a couple more minutes left with Joy here. So if you guys have more questions, just go ahead and drop them in. I'll try and get through as quickly as possible. We've been experiencing issues with video verifications where the videos won't upload despite several attempts. What should our next steps be? How can we reach support? We've had trouble contacting support in the past. Yeah, get in line.
Yeah, get in line. No, I'm kidding. So you absolutely can contact support in those cases. There's lots of bugs with video verification, like tons. It's like device issues, things like that. So yeah, contact support. If you can't reach them, post on the Google Business Profile community.
Perfect. What are the best reporting tools to use to track local rankings? What's your local stack?
Places Scout is the one I'm literally in every day. The reason why I'm so obsessed with Places Scout is they store all the data. I can go back like years and see what my clients were doing
Nice.
2 years ago, 3 years ago. They also have screenshots. I'm obsessed with screenshots because I feel like it tells a story a way that just numbers don't. So they'd be my number one. They also track organic rankings on a grid, which to my knowledge, no other rank tracker does. And that's really insightful. Second, I would say Local Falcon. Local Falcon is really good if you need like a quick scan. So they would probably be my number two. But between the two of those, I feel like you don't need a ton.
Awesome. All right, Joy. Well, rest of questions, it looks like we've already gotten through. So everybody, in the chat. Say thank you to Joy. She's been very generous with her time today. Joy, tell us about your YouTube channel. It sounds like you got a lot of great stuff on there. How can they find you?
Yeah, Sterling Sky's YouTube channel. Never in my life spent so much work on anything. So we've been producing a lot of videos. We have more coming. We actually just increased the volume of them. All stuff that we've been testing for the last few years that haven't released. So definitely make sure you subscribe there.
Awesome. She's also a great follow on Twitter. Shares a lot of stuff there as well. So yeah, thank you again, Joy. I really do appreciate it. This has been great. Your knowledge is extremely helpful for us all here. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Hey, Ryan here. Hope you liked that video. If you want more, check out these two videos right here on the screen.